Hey, what is going on, guys? It's your boy John, aka Spiros here, and today I'm bringing you guys my settings for Apex Legends. I've been streaming this game a lot lately, and the main question that I get in chat is kind of what are my settings, not only for sensitivity, but also for my field of view and other things like that. So I'm going to be going over all of my settings during this video. What you guys are watching here now are just some clips that I have, and then we're going to actually go through each of the settings individually so you guys can see what I'm talking about, and I'll go more in depth on each setting. Keep in mind, these are my controller settings. I had to film this video on my PC because at the moment when I try to load up Apex Legends on my PS4, for some reason, it's not letting me connect to the server. So I didn't want that to, stop me from making this video. So I just loaded it up on my PC. The settings that you guys are going to see here are exactly the same settings that I use on my PS4. But yeah, guys, without further ado, let's hop right into my settings. Alright guys, so here we are. This is on PC like I said, but all of my settings are exactly the same on console. So just going into the settings here, you can see interact prompt style is on default. Interact prompt style, display more or less information about weapons and items on the ground, default or compact. Those are the two options. Obviously, since the game is relatively new, we're going to want it on default settings until, you get your in-game knowledge up about each weapon. I'm not exactly sure how much information is, discarded when you have it on compact, but for right now, where I'm learning the game still and learning all the weapons, what ammo they use, fire rates, so on and so forth, I'm leaving it on the default option. Obviously, this may change down the line a little bit once I become more comfortable with the game and the guns and everything, but for right now, I'm going to leave it at default. Moving down to my button hints, this is something that I have turned off. I did realize button hints were on in the game the other day, and it was kind of bugging me just a little bit, so I went ahead and turned them off. The button hints pretty much just tell you, you can use this button to heal, you can use this button to do this, that, and another, and for the most part, it's a little bit distracting. I kind of know the buttons now, so I'm a lot more comfortable, so I have this off. Obviously, if you're brand new to the game and stuff like that, you're going to want to leave it on. Crosshair damage feedback, I have this with X with shield icon. Obviously, there are three options here. You can have it off, which gives no indicator. I really do not recommend this. This means you will not know if you actually hit an enemy or not, based off of, a visual hit marker or so on and so forth. So I don't recommend having it off. Obviously, you're going to want to know if you hit an enemy or not. And so if you want it toned down a little bit, you can go ahead with the crosshair X, which basically shows an X on the crosshair when you do hit an enemy or land a shot, whatever you guys want to call it. But again, I don't really recommend this either. I recommend having it X with an icon. This is the default setting, and this will show you if the enemy has a shield or not. And I think this is super beneficial because you're going to want to know if the enemy has a shield, because obviously the TTK or the time to kill is going to change drastically whether they have armor or not. So I would go ahead with the crosshair damage feedback. I'd leave that on X with a shield icon. So guys, moving on to the damage numbers, I suggest that you guys have this on the floating option. The default is stacking, which just shows a combined number of all recent damage. By having the floating option on, it shows one number for each damage event. So basically, every shot that you hit will cause a number to pop up above the character, letting you know how much damage that you've done. And basically, they kind of float on top of each other, so you can have a better understanding of how much damage you've truly done to that enemy. So I personally use floating. This also will allow you to know, if you're hitting them in the body armor or the headshot. Basically, if you hit a headshot, the number is going to be a bigger number in the, the 30s to 60s, depending on what weapon you're using. And if you're hitting them in the body, it's going to vary, from 15 to 30 in that realm. So by having it on floating, I personally, when I begin shooting at someone, I can tell right off the bat, if it's a smaller number, I'm just going to assume that I'm hitting them in the body, which then allows me to correct my shot and begin hitting headshots. And once I see the larger numbers popping up, I know I don't need to correct anymore, and I'm right where I need to be. So I leave mine on floating. That's just personally what I like. For the ping opacity, I leave it on the default. Obviously, I want to be able to see my ping as much as possible. I don't want it to be, a little bit transparent, which is the faded option. Obituaries, which is basically the kill feed, you're going to want to leave that on. There's a lot of information that gets, put forth through. There's a lot of information that you can gather from the kill feed itself. So basically, some examples would be, If you down an enemy, it will come up in the kill feed. If an enemy gets down by your teammates, that will come up in the kill feed. Or if your teammate goes down, that will also come up in the kill feed. So right there's a couple examples of really valuable information, especially in the heat of battle, being able to look up at the kill feed and see your teammates maybe knocked 1 or 2 of them. If obviously this game is squads of 3, so then there's just 1 more left and that you should push. So information like that is extremely valuable in this game, so I highly recommend that you leave the kill feed on. Incoming damage feedback, I have this on the default 3D. This is just what I'm used to now. I started playing the game not knowing what this was. I have not tested out the 2D, but I feel as if it's not going to make that much of a difference. I've played on 3D thus far, and I haven't had an issue turning and spotting enemies once I've been shot. So I'm just going to leave this on the default. Streamer mode obviously is off. I'm a smaller streamer, so I don't really have to worry about getting stream sniped, so I have mine as off personally. Going on to usage sharing, I think that usage sharing is extremely helpful, especially to the devs, because having this on will allow them to collect data and stuff to help balance the game, along with trying to help the game improve crashing and stuff like that, try to negate all of that. So I highly recommend that you have usage sharing on. Obviously you can have this on disabled if you are a little more conservative with your private information. So moving on to the controller, this is something probably everybody is wondering. So going on to the button layout, you have the default. So obviously crouch is going to be B, melee is the right stick. It's pretty much all default stuff like all other FPS shooters. Then you have bumper jumper, which replaces A and LB. So basically A will give you your tactical ability and LB will make you jump. A lot of people that don't have scuffs like this layout a lot, so that way you don't have to take your hand off the right stick in order to jump. It does help, with jump shotting, jumping corners, stuff like that. And then obviously I'm playing on a scuff vantage, so the setting that I prefer is the button puncher. What this basically does is flips your melee and your crouch. So basically I can crouch with the right stick now just by pressing it down, which makes sliding and crouching a lot easier in my opinion. This is the equivalent of tactical on a Call of Duty game. It makes sliding and shooting really, really easy and almost seamless. So I highly recommend it, especially if you're trying to make some really cool plays with the slides. I highly recommend that you're on button puncher. Evolved is kind of a mashup between bumper jumper and button puncher. And then I'm not even going to go into the other ones because these are pretty, far out there that people might not really use. I think the majority of people are going to play on button puncher or default. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section below, actually, what button layout you guys play on. I'm kind of curious. So going to the stick layout, obviously default is what majority of people are going to play on. Moving on to the interact and reload, I have this on tap to use and reload. This is going to save you a lot of time, in the heat of battle. You don't have to press and hold square to reload. I highly recommend that you guys use the tap option. Obviously this is going to also speed up your looting ability. I really recommend that you guys use this. I don't think that you're going to run into too many issues where you're looting and trying to reload at the same time. That's not typically the case. So going on to my crouch button, this is obviously going to be on toggle. I don't want to have to hold to crouch. So basically what toggle is if I press circle or B, it will crouch me and keep me crouched. But if I have it on hold, basically what that means is as long as I'm holding circle or holding B, I'll stay crouched. This is obviously not what you want. It's kind of wonky that you'd have it on hold personally, but to each their own. Moving on to the aim button, I have it on hold. This is how most shooters are. Basically what this means, if you hold the left trigger, you will stay aimed in, and then when you let go, it will, aim you out or unaim you, however you want to say it. If you have this on toggle, basically what happens is when you aim in, when you let go of the left trigger, you'll stay aimed in, and then to aim out or unaim, you have to press the left trigger again, which is really, really weird. I do like it on other games, but on this game, it's very fast paced, a lot of movement. You're going to just want it on the normal aim button. Moving down to the sensitivity, this is what most people are probably here for. As you guys can see, I'm running a 4 sensitivity. This is, I guess, technically the high sensitivity in, it's labeled high and then parentheses 4. I do play with a Control Freak Phantom on my right stick. So basically, for those of you who don't know, a Control Freak makes your right stick twice as tall. It's just what I'm used to playing on. I've played on it for years now, and I honestly can't go back to a normal stick. So Obviously, my sensitivity is a little bit higher, but it doesn't feel like that. To give you guys some comparison, I do play on 7.7 in Call of Duty and for Blackout. So obviously, I'm coming from a 7.7. I'm playing on a 4 on this game. To me, in my mind, those are pretty equal. My sensitivity for the ADS is going to be the same. I really don't want my sensitivity any slower or higher when I'm ADS. I haven't had a problem, you know, tracking with enemies and or correcting my shot with this sensitivity. I feel like it's perfect where it's at, so I personally don't want it changed at all. I think something that they need to have in this game, or I would like to see added, is a scoped sensitivity. Basically, when you're sniping, I would like to have that higher because I've been having a really hard time, you know, sniping in this game on 4 sensitivity personally. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I would love to see a scoped sensitivity come to the game. For the respawn curve, I have it on classic. This is the classic respawn feel, and by respawn feel, they mean the developers of this game are the Respawn Studios, and they've also developed, you know, Titanfall and Titanfall 2. These are the games that I've been comfortable playing on in the past, and I've never really messed with the respawn curve, so I leave it on classic. I haven't noticed too much of a difference. This is kind of the default. You know, you load into an FPS, this is what you're gonna have. So I recommend leaving your respawn curve on classic. The look dead zone I have on small. For my movement dead zone, I have it on small. I haven't changed this. I don't really see the point to change it. My controller is perfectly fine. I don't have too much stick drift with my left stick or stick drift at all, so my dead zone, I just leave it on small. Inverted look, obviously this is off. Most people don't play inverted. If you do, more power to you. I really don't understand how you do it, but you know, kind of curious. Again, let me know if you guys play inverted look. Let me know in the comment section below. I don't think people do. But yeah, then moving on to vibration, this is another one that, you know, is kind of specific to the player. I personally can't play without vibration. You know, if I play with it, I know when I'm getting shot, and also when I'm shooting. When I play without it, you know, something in my brain doesn't really register that I'm being shot and or shooting. So I don't know, I have to play with vibration on. It's just what I'm used to. Moving over to the video settings, this does look a little bit different than on console. It's because I'm on PC, like I said, but the two settings that you guys have on console are the field of view and the colorblind mode. So for me, I have my field of view turned all the way up to 110. This is just what I like. This, for me, a lot of people think that I'm moving faster in the game. I'm simply not. I just have my field of view turned up all the way. It basically makes me appear that I'm moving faster on my screen, which I personally like. It fits my play style, and kind of, I felt like I was moving really slow in this game. So when I found out there was field of view, I just turned it all the way up, and it made it seem as if I was moving faster, which makes the game more enjoyable for me personally. Obviously, you see on the side the disclaimer, setting this above 90 may impact performance and or cause visual issues. The only issues that I've seen on console personally was that my reticle on my red dot looked a little weird. It just looked fuzzy, but on PC, I haven't had that issue. With that said, that could just be, you know, a console graphical issue versus PC. I'm not too sure. I haven't noticed any issues with having my field of view set to 110. It's kind of, I'm super used to it now. It makes me feel like I'm moving the same, but obviously when, you know, new people come to the stream, they're always like, how is he moving so fast? Or, you know, what's his field of view? And my field of view is just turned all the way up. This is just what I like. And then colorblind mode, I have it as off. I did test it with Tritanopia. I didn't really see much of a difference. It kind of threw me off just a little bit. So I just recommend leaving it off. Obviously, if you're colorblind, use the setting that you used to, you know, fix your sight. And then moving over to the audio settings, this again looks a little bit different, but in the advanced section, you guys have the sound effects, dialogue, music volume, and lobby music. The only two things that I changed was the music volume and the lobby music. Obviously, these are extremely loud for anybody that has played this game. I'm sure you know that when you're picking your characters and even in the end game, like, you can't hear anything. Like, it is so loud. So I just turned mine completely off. But anyway, guys, yeah, these are my console settings and my controller settings. I'm sorry this was a little bit longer of a video. I just wanted to make sure, you know, I went a little bit in depth with everything and kind of talked everything out with you guys, so you know exactly what I'm thinking and what my settings are. If you guys did enjoy this video, please don't forget to drop a like on it. I would very much appreciate that. I will have more Apex Legends gameplays along with tutorials, you know, loadout videos, stuff like that coming in the future. Don't forget to subscribe if you guys are new around here, so that way you guys don't miss any of my new content coming out. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Peace.